Real talk. Have you ever felt like the life you're living isn't yours? Like as though someone else was calling the shots, someone else had free reign over your life. You can't make decisions by yourself. You need to consult with someone. It could be your parents, your boss, your partner, your friends. Maybe you feel so dependent on them or so reliant on them that you only pattern your life and do what they want as they dictate. Is that your experience? If that is so, please keep listening. I want to share some useful tips with you on this episode. Do not contract your life out to someone else. It's easy for that to happen because as a child, you were being, taken care of, nurtured by your parents, your guardians, whoever was in your life then. And at some point, there should have been some transitions from them telling you what to do or dictating your every move to giving you that, trusting in your own ability to make decisions for yourself. But sometimes that transition is not always seamless. Sometimes it never even happens. Some parents have been known or called helicopter parents, where they feel like they always have to be. They don't trust their children's judgment enough to allow them begin to make decisions earlier on. And such kids, when they're older, instead of being able to make sound decisions themselves, they still rely so much on what people say, their parents or their friends, or they become prone to such influences, to external influences. And I think it's easy, especially in this society where we belong, in the African society I'm particularly speaking about, where you grew up with that mindset that the older people, your elder ones, are always right. There's wisdom with age. So an older person, speaking about something has more authority over you, regardless of who you are. So it's easy to fall into that trap of not being your own self, not coming to your own, just always deferring to other people's position rather than standing strong in who you are and who God has created you to be. I think in the Western world, like in the US here, I think the culture here doesn't really make room for that. I feel like there's so much individualism. There's so much emphasis on being an individual here that it's easier for maybe kids that grew up here to begin to form their identity earlier on. But for us as Africans, it's not so much encouraged. There's so much emphasis on, being the obedient child, being the child that listens to their parents, being the child that listens to their elders from an early age. And when you grow up that way, you have to make conscious efforts, conscious decisions to ensure you don't remain in that mindset, in that mentality, because the world is big, right? You wouldn't be, especially when you go into the bigger society. As a grown-up, you should be able to stand your ground and live your own life as you should, as God intended for it to be. And I'm also speaking from a place of experience. I'm not just, talking to the camera or to you, but I'm also talking, particularly about learning, or I'm going to be learning from some of these tips I'm going to be sharing. I want to share some signs, like 4 signs that shows that you are not living for yourself, you're living for others. And one of the signs, number 1, top on the list, is you're always seeking approval and validation of others. You never feel like you're doing enough. You never feel like you're good enough. You never feel like your opinion is sound enough. You always feel like, that person's opinion is better than me. One thing I've come to realize, especially here, I've lived here for a while in the US, I realized that a lot of people, and let me just call it as it is, white male, they're usually so confident, like their confidence is on another level. When I tell you these people be confident, I mean confidence, like unapologetic confidence. I was in a team a couple of years back where there was this, white male on the team, and his confidence was so high. Like, he was so confident in himself that whatever he said, he was newer on the team. So he didn't have the whole picture. But whenever we come into a meeting, the way he spoke, even if he wasn't sure of what he was saying, but with the confidence in which he spoke it, you actually think, wow, this guy knows what he's saying. But for the rest of us, for me, for instance, I would always, even when I stand in what I'm saying, even when I'm sure of what I'm saying, I'm constantly looking out for people's reaction. So one of the signs, I'm just trying to buttress it to say that one of the signs to know that you're not fully living for yourself is by always seeking validation from others. You probably did that as a child, but now as a grown-up, you need to stop. Some people live all their lives without fulfilling their highest potential because they were living to please their parents. For instance, your parents probably wanted you to study something, maybe study medicine or be a lawyer. And it wasn't what you wanted to do necessarily, but just so that you can avoid conflict and keep everyone happy. What do? You go ahead, study medicine, and you practice, maybe you practice a career path, or you go on a career path you never liked and you live miserably, for a long time. So I think that is one of the signs, just always wanting to see people's. I admire people who don't care about people's opinion, who don't necessarily go out of their way to seek validation. I really, really admire such people, because I'm not there yet. I still seek validation every now and then. But I think the strength of one's character is just to be confident and solid in who you are and your identity, that you don't need someone else to co-sign whatever it is you think or whatever it is you want to do. Just knowing, especially as a Christian, I'm a Christian. So I think the first point, of course, should always be, God, prayers, the Bible, whatever God says to do, regardless of, so long as you're not, hurting. I don't think if you're doing what God wants you to do, I don't think it will be at the detriment of other people or society. But just make up your mind on something and go ahead and do it, because that is what you should do as an individual. Number 2 sign is being trapped in a career you don't like. Now, a lot of people fall into this one. I also fall into this one, or I've fallen into this one so many times. At the beginning of my career path, of my after school, my first job, I really didn't like it, but I stayed in that job for so long. Because I just had to work, number one. A lot of times people stay trapped because of, the need to make money. They need to provide for themselves and their families, which is understandable. But I think even being in that job, you shouldn't just rest on your oars and say, oh, this is the highest I can get to, this is the best I can do for myself. No, there's so much more, we can do if we push ourselves, if we believe deeply in ourselves. There's so much more we can do. So being trapped in a career path or a career choice you do not like, maybe you did it, maybe you did medicine just to please your parents at the beginning, but now that you're grown, I think I interviewed someone not too long ago who said he always wanted to be a policeman. He always wanted to be a policeman. However, his parents really didn't want him to do that, and so when he got into college, he had to start working, I think, in the medical field or so. So he did something in medicine, like something in the medical field, graduated, worked in the medical industry for a while. And then as a grown man, he said to himself, hey, why am I doing this? Yes, I did this initially to satisfy my parents, but right now I'm a grown man, I can do what I want. And he went back to school and, went to school of, I don't know what, is it police academy or something, and now he's a cop living his dreams. So yeah. So number 2 is being trapped in a career path or whatever it is you don't want. It's a sign that you are living for, you're living someone else's life. You're not living your own life. You've contracted your life out to someone, and it shouldn't be so. Number 3 is you are always afraid to say no. People pleasing. I'm a recovering people pleaser, so I identify with this so much. So being afraid to say no, because we don't want to hurt people. We don't want to push back. We don't want to upset to the table, or how is it said? I don't even know. Yeah, refusing or being afraid to say no is one of the key markers to know that you're living for someone else. You're not living your own life. And I feel like if you say no to a person or to a friend or family member, if they make requests and you say no to them and they get mad, it tells you all you need to know about them. So it's not even something you should continue entertaining. God created us as unique entities, unique individuals, and you have the right to reserve the right to say yes or to say no. So if you find it difficult saying no, then you're definitely, I think all these points tie back to each other. I think it all revolves around people pleasing, just always wanting to butter people, always wanting to be in their good books. Jesus Christ, even the Bible said no, at some point to Pharisees or Sadducees. Sometimes he pushed back. So it's okay to say no. One of the things for me, I feel like I deal with when it comes to being able to say no is guilt. I always have this guilt when I say no to someone or to something. It's like, oh my God, I feel so guilty. But here's the thing. Doing it regardless doesn't justify it, because at the end of the day, if you did it grudgingly, you wanted to say no, but you said yes and did it, at some point you will build resentment in you. And building resentment is not good for you, because you won't be able to walk in love. So, for instance, someone keeps asking you for a favor or money. For instance, let me say money because it's one of the things people, sometimes make requests for. And you keep giving. Initially, you're giving from a good place. And then all of a sudden, it's almost like, this is getting too much. Rather than saying no, you say yes and keep giving because you feel guilty. But behind that guilt, you've begin to form resentment for that person, which eventually will lead to hate. So it's better to say no and just cut it off. Do not feel guilty. I think guilt is one of the ways. Guilt is For me personally, I feel like guilt is something that keeps me saying yes when I should say no. And I know I'm still working on it. Guilt. And again, anyone that will guilt you because you said no is not a good influence on your life. There are people who are experts at guilting, who are experts at, playing those games, those, what do they call it? Blackmail, emotional blackmail. Be quick to identify such people or such signs, when they say it, or they say, oh, but you're my best friend. No one has ever been there for me like you are. All my other friends are fake. You are the only good person. You are the only wonderful friends. They kind of butter you up, but in the same vein, in that buttering you up and flattering you is also blackmailing, because they're already putting you at a pedestal, and in your heart, you're like, oh my God, they see me as their best friend. I need to maintain this. This status. I can't afford to lose it. Oh no. That's all a lie. It's all manipulation. It's all mind games. So learn to say no. It will help you take back your life, take back reins of your life. Number 4 is you're living by someone else's timeline. I think this plays out a lot with family, with parents. Some parents want their kids to be married by so and so time, or maybe even society. Beyond parents, even society expect that by 20 or by 21 you're graduated from college. By 22 you're married. By 25 you should have your first kid. By 28 you should buy your first home. All of those societal standards. Who sets the yardstick? Who sets those standards? I don't know. Again, could just be your friends. Maybe in your group of friends, everyone is just following a particular trend or pattern, and you seem to be the odd one out. You're not progressing as the rest are. I mean, it's still your life. It's you. You're a unique individual. God didn't create us in batches. It doesn't have the same plan for everyone. So stay on your lane and don't be pressured by those timelines, because timelines are relative, right? We're all on different paths, different journey. Things happen differently. So stay on your timeline. I was watching, I don't remember if it was on Facebook, and I think it was on Facebook. I came across, or maybe Instagram, I don't know. I came across a young kid. He probably could not have been more than 21, maybe more than 21 or 22. And his caption was, he became a millionaire or a billionaire or something. I don't know. He became a billionaire at 18. Something funny. I could be getting the dates wrong, but it was just a young kid saying, that he was a billionaire. He became rich very young. And one of the things that helped him become a billionaire was that he blocked all his high school friends or his high school classmates, and all that. And I think his thinking there was that they were behind. They weren't as forward thinking or as ambitious or, aggressive or whatever as he was. And so he was kind of touting his own and, commending himself, patting himself on the back that he had done well for himself. And I just smiled. I chuckled because I can so relate to him. I can so identify with him. As a young kid, you feel like, oh, you have arrived. In your 20s, you're like, yes. You look back and you look at your friends, you're like, yes, I am doing so well for myself. I have a good job. I have a good this. They're all beneath me. They're all behind me. But guess what? Life is such a journey. And your 20s, you're still so young, right? Everything happens in phases and in waves. Those your high school friends or those friends that you look down on, and thought, oh, they have no ambition. They're going nowhere. Tomorrow, things could be different for them, right? We all mature at our own pace. We all mature at our own timeline. So take your time. Don't put yourself under pressure. Don't let anyone put you under pressure. For me, I remember with my friends, my group of friends, after college, I think I was one of the first people to start to get a job. I mean, amongst, let me say, maybe my 3-4 group of friends, tight, close-knit friends, I was like the first person to get a job. Oh, I was so happy. Yay. The others hadn't gotten a job yet, Of course, I wasn't looking down on them or anything. I didn't think I was better than them, not at all. But it just felt like I was ahead, right? But what happened? Couple of years later, everyone had a job. In fact, they all married, have children, have families, doing so well. In fact, one of them is like one of the, and I don't want to say too much so that I don't kind of expose anyone. But this one of them is actually at the highest, like at the peak, at the pinnacle of her career in her company, in her industry, like so high. So it goes to tell you that we're all on different paths. It doesn't matter when you start. It doesn't matter how you're going, what you're doing right now. Don't look at someone else to measure your life. Don't measure your success by someone else's success or someone else's timeline. Just stay on your lane, stay on your path. And the important thing is be focused, be thankful, trust God, pray, be committed, and things will always fall in place. So these are the signs that you probably might be living for someone else. You might be contracting your life out to someone else, and please don't do that. Please don't do that. Don't put your happiness in someone else's. People are too. Don't make someone else so powerful that they control your happiness. Don't make someone else so powerful that they control your happiness, your joy, and what or how far you can get to in life. So I'm going to be sharing, and I'm looking at my book because I have to say it right. I'm going to be sharing how to reclaim your life. If you feel like you identify with these 4 signs, how do you reclaim your life? How do you come back into yourself? How do you own your space? Number 1, I'll say start making decisions for you. Decisions that benefit you, decisions that solely coming from you, not what your boss or your partner, your husband, your wife, your children, your pastor, your friends, your siblings want you to make decisions for yourself. Ask yourself, wow, if no one was looking, if no one was watching, if no one had any expectations of me, what will I be doing? Whew. That's a very solid question, because I asked myself, if I didn't have these expectations of me, for instance, what will I be doing? Man, I would so I would be on a tropical island beach, having a nice time, enjoying myself with no cares in this world, have no job, not have no job, of course, have a lot of money, but no job. Just do things at my own pace. Maybe not be in this career path, maybe do something else, So those kind of thinking, just make decisions for yourself. Now, I'm not saying be selfish, because there's a thin line, I think, between being selfish and just owning your own decision and making decisions for yourself. You can sometimes can say, oh, I don't care about anyone else. I'm going to quit this job. I'm not happy. And you have a family, you have children, you have a wife that depends on you, and then you decide to quit your job as a man and say, okay, I'm just going to stay home because I'm stressed out from this job. That's not making the right decision, I don't think, because your family, you have a responsibility towards your family to take care of them. So you should hold a job. I think what I'm talking about here in making decision is, if it's a job you don't like, if it's a career path you don't like, do something about it. Go back to school, get new certifications, get new degrees, and then pivot, get another job, and keep, going. But the long and short of it, I'm trying to say, is start making decisions for yourself. Don't make decisions of, oh, this is what my dad might want me to do. This is what my mom might want me to do. No, do it for yourself. Number 2, I would say set boundaries. Begin to set boundaries. Anyone who isn't happy that you're setting boundaries probably means that they were benefiting from you having no boundaries. If anyone is angry or mad that you set boundaries, it means that person was benefiting from you having no boundaries. It tells you all you need to know. So set boundaries. It ties back to being able to say no, right? So set boundaries. If this is what you can do, you do. If it's what you cannot do, do not do. Everyone wouldn't like you. You are not sugar. You're not honey. You're none of those things. So don't expect accolades or approval from everyone, because when you set boundaries, you are able to show up as your truest self. You're able to show up in the fullness of who you are. You're able to bring so much more to the table. If you set boundaries, you wouldn't unnecessarily expend yourself. You conserve your energy for what matters. So setting boundaries is very, very important. It will help you know what to take, what not to take, who can speak into your life, who not to speak into your life. All of those things. So set boundaries, very important. Number 3, I'll say take risk. Number 3, take risk. Take risk. What is that thing you've been wanting to, what is that business you've been trying to start that you haven't started? Go ahead and do it. Take risk. Time waits for no one. Just do it. What's the worst that can happen? You fail at it. So what? You move on to the next one. For instance, me sitting down here and recording this video right now is like I'm taking risk, because I've always been so self-conscious to actually do something like this. I love it. I love watching people do this. I love listening to, this type of topics. And most times I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to sit in front of a camera by myself. I can do with someone else. My co-host Amaka, she'll join me soon. She'll join me at some point again. But right now I've been doing a lot of either interviews with other people, guests, and then recently I'm beginning to try to do this one-on-one, like just sitting with the camera and speaking. It's a risk I'm taking because I'm so scared. I'm like, oh my God, what if people don't watch? What if people don't like what I'm saying? What if people come at me? What if I receive negative comments? It's a risk, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm doing it anyway. I'm scaring myself, but I'm doing it anyway. What's the worst that can happen? No one watches. People don't like it. People leave negative comments. What's the worst? Is it the end of the world? No. But I've done something that challenges me, take risk. It helps me. It gives me a sense of purpose, a sense of control even over my life. So take risk. What is that business you've been wanting to start? What is that job, that career path you've been wanting to go into? Take risk. Do it. That's all that matters. And then number 4, and finally, which is very, very important, stop waiting for people to give you permission. This one I so identify with it. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for permission. For me, I feel like growing up as a child, before you do anything, you needed mom's permission, you needed dad's permission, you needed your older siblings' permission. And somehow I carried some way into my, adolescence stroke young adulthood, where I always needed permission. Not in a very overt way, not that I wanted. It wasn't on a conscious level for me. Even it was kind of subconscious. I belonged to a fellowship or a church where I had, spiritual authority, spiritual leaders over me. So, and if you know Pentecostal churches or evangelical churches, there's always this thing of having a spiritual father or having spiritual authority over your life, right? So I had all of those in my young adult. So, and what it did for me was, I felt like I never grew up. I moved from my father's house and joined this ministry or this church where I also had someone else, like a father figure, always telling me what to do. Like there was so much, before you do anything, before I did anything, I had to take permission. I had to clear things with him. I had to do this. So it was a lot of, I never felt like I came to my own and I belonged. Like I knew what I was doing for myself. I couldn't make decisions without clearing it through this person. Now, as a young person, I'm not saying you shouldn't have leadership or people over your life, but let it not be to the extent where you give them complete reign over your life, such that you can't even hear God for yourself, such that decisions you're making is just solely based on what someone else says, not on what your spirit, the Spirit of God, tells you to do. What that did as well for me was that it just always made me seek permission. Even long after I left that place, I was like, oh, I needed permission. But I had to tell myself one day, if God brought it to me, I was like, why are you waiting to do things that you can do, things I'm asking you to do? Go ahead and do it. You don't need nobody's permission. Just do it, right? So as a person, you might not even know, but just think back and say, wait, why do I always have cold feet? What am I waiting for to be happy? So some people they're waiting for someone to give them permission to be happy, or to be joyous, or to be rich, or to achieve their dreams or potentials. No, you don't need permission. God has given you permission. He has made you a discrete, full, solid entity that can make decisions for yourself. So make your decisions. Do not wait for anyone's permission, because no one is about to give you permission. No one is about to tap you on the back and say, hey girl, it's time to go live that dream. It's time to be happy. Maybe God could bless you with good people, like you could have good mentors and friends that could inspire and encourage you. But beyond, do not wait for other people. Do not wait for that alone. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. You should be able to just, I want to do this. Let me go do this. You don't need permission. You are cleared to do it. Cleared. Go do it. Go live. Go be happy. Go be amazing. Go be great. Go be beautiful. Go be anything you want to be. And stop, waiting for that permission, that go ahead, and all that. So yeah, that's all I wanted to share in today's episode. Do not contract your life out to someone. Live for you. Life is such a gift. Life is such a gift. Contracting your life out to someone is almost like God has given you, okay, this is your life, and you take it and you give it to someone else and say, okay, just call the shots, say what I need to do. Meanwhile, God hasn't given them the blueprints. God gave you your life and gave you the blueprints. You have the authority to dictate and decide what happens in your life with the help of God. So be that person that leads. Just be your true, honest self. Live for yourself, not for others. Live for yourself. Live for God. Live for your true purpose, and don't want to fit in a mold. Fitting in a mold is so overrated. Just be uniquely you, be exceptionally you, be weirdly you. If you're weird, own your weirdness and just be you. and just be happy, go lucky. So that's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you stayed till the end. I'm still tweaking around and still trying to get used to the camera and just sitting by myself and talking. I feel so weird, like speaking to an empty room by myself and looking at the camera. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, and follow, and keep coming back for more amazing content. Thank you. Bye-bye.